So what are significant figures and why do we have to know what they are? Sig figs deal with measurement. So I know we count how many sig figs. You can tell me how many sig figs you have in a number, but why is it important? Well, it's important because it deals with precise measurements. Let's say this is your meter stick of your ruler. There's no markings. It goes by every 100 centimeters. So if you have a ruler like this, it's not very precise. Your best measurement could only be as accurate, or excuse me, as precise as we say 20 centimeters. We can't say 23, 23.5 because our instrument here goes by every 100 centimeters. So the best we could do is estimate out to the tens place based on the precision of our instrument we have. Let's say we have this ruler. It's more precise. It's marked off by every 10 centimeters. So now the appropriate measurement is we go 1 decimal place or 1 place value past your last precise measurement. So my last precise measurement is every 10 centimeters. So what that means is I can measure out, estimate my last significant figure. I'd say it's about, we know it's 20 for sure, but 23? This number 3 is my last significant figure. We estimate that last digit. This ruler goes by every 10 centimeters, so we know it's 20 for sure, but we have to estimate our last digit. We go 1 place value or 1 digit past my last precise digit or last precise measurement. So if it goes by every 10 centimeters, we're able to go 1 place value past that. And so I could say 23 or 24. That's my last significant digit. The one you estimate is your last significant digit. I could not say 23.4. There's no way of knowing. This is the total guess here, this 0.4. It's all based on the precision of the tool and instrument you're using. This final ruler I have here is the most precise of all. It goes by every single centimeter. So much more precise the one up top, more precise the one in the middle. The one at the bottom here goes by every single centimeter. So if it goes by every centimeter, that means my last significant figure will be 1 place value past that in the tens place. If I'm measuring here, see 20, 21, 22, I think it goes just past, so I think I say 22.1 centimeters. So we know for sure it's 22, but that last digit we estimate. And our last estimated digit is our last significant figure. So I have 3 significant figures here. That one that I estimated, that's my last significant figure. There's no way that I could go 22.1, 4, 5, 6. Those are total guesses. The tens place is my last significant figure. And the rule is, whatever your measurement, the last precise measurement is on your tool you're using, you go out 1 more place value, and that's your last significant figure or last important number in your measurement. So there are rules when we see a number or a measurement to tell us how important it is and what's significant in the measurement and what's not. Sig figs tell you how precise your measurement, how precise your numbers are. And there's going to be 4 major rules we use. The first rule we use to know if it's significant to our measurement or not is any number that is not a 0 is significant. What does that mean? Well, the number 45, that's got 2 significant figures. Both those numbers are significant in my measurement. The number 5,637, well, they're all non-zero numbers. Those all are significant. 1.341249, those are all non-zero numbers. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 significant digits or figures in that number. If your number is not a 0, it is significant. We count that as being an important measurement. So if it's not a 0, it is significant. Rule number 2, Sandwich zeros. What does it mean to be a sandwich zero? Well, think of a sandwich. We have a non-zero number here and a non-zero number here. And my zero is sandwiched in between. Like there's the bun, there's the buns, there's the meat. So if you have a zero that is sandwiched between two non-zero numbers, we count it. So 1, 2, 3, there are 3 significant figures there. Now, here we have a sandwich here. We have a 1, a 5, and then we have these zeros in between. It could be a bigger sandwich. So a sandwich means you have a non-zero number, that's a big sandwich in there. So we count all those zeros. So if I'm counting my sig figs, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 significant figures in that number. Here we have some sandwiches. We have some zeros sandwiched between my 5 and my 6. Those would all count. Then we have zeros that are sandwiched between this 6 and this 6. So every single number there is significant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 significant figures in our measurement. Here we have some sandwiches down below. We have a zero that's sandwiched between my 8 and my 9, so we count that zero. We have 2 zeros here between my 5 and my 9, so we count those zeros. So all of these numbers are going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 significant figures. So we know if it's not a zero, we count it. We know if it's a sandwich zero, we count it. But what if it's a leading zero? What do leading zeros mean? Well, leading zeros are zeros that are basically placeholders. So we never, ever, ever count leading zeros. So they're leading zeros, there's nothing but zeros, and then we hit our first non-zero number. We never count leading zeros. So if this was your number here, we have 2 significant figures in our measurement. All of these leading zeros, there's nothing but zeros, so we don't count those. This number only has 2 significant figures. My last number here has a couple of rules involved. Again, if there's nothing but zeros to start with, those are called leading zeros. We never count those at all. We count the 6. Do we count these zeros? Well, they are sandwiched between a 6 and a 7, so yes, we do. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures. My last rule today, trailing zeros. They only count if there is a decimal. Trailing zeros only count if there is a decimal. So what are trailing zeros? Trailing zeros are zeros that come after a non-zero number. So there's 3. All of these zeros trail that 3. Now, we only count trailing zeros if there's a decimal point. So if you do not see a decimal point, it's not there with sig figs. So these are all trailing zeros. I do not see a decimal point. I only have 1 significant figure. That's the only important number in that measurement. Now, let's look at the next one. I have 3, 0, 0. Well, these zeros are trailing that 3. They come after a non-zero number. There is a decimal. So if I'm counting these, those trailing zeros count. We only count trailing zeros if there's a decimal. If there's one visible, you count it. So I have 3 significant figures here. What that decimal means, ladies and gentlemen, is that you've measured precisely to that place value. The number 2020, yuck, right? Come on, 2020, you're killing me. So 2020, do we count this zero? Yes, we do. It's a sandwich. Now this zero right here, it's trailing that 2. When do we count trailing zeros? Only if there is a decimal, and I don't see one there. So how many significant figures in this number? 1, 2, 3. There are only 3 significant figures in that number or measurement. The next one we've got A 9, a 0, and a 9. Do we count that 0? Yes, it's a sandwich. What about these zeros? These are trailing zeros. We only count them if there's a decimal. There's no decimal. So we only have 3 significant figures in that number. My last example. These zeros, nothing that comes before them, they're called leading zeros. Remember, leading zeros, we never count leading zeros. They don't count. We count that 5. What about this right here, guys? There's a 0. Oh, you know what? It's sandwiched between my 5 and my 4, so we count that one. What about this 0, ladies and gentlemen? It is trailing that 4. We count it because there is a decimal. We only count trailing zeros when there's a decimal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures in my last example. Remember your rules, ladies and gentlemen. If it's not a 0, we count it. If it's a sandwich, we count it. We never count leading zeros, and we only count trailing zeros if there is a decimal.